So let's talk about tonight, James. We've got quite a topic.
Yes, we do.
Our messages and our loved one. What wisdom do they bring us?
Yeah. Well, number one, there is no death. That's the most important thing. And again, if you don't mind, I'll refer to this book, which I'm highlighting.
Okay.
Because it's such great stuff. And I've read many, many books on this. And my dog is right below me. Pearl's not left my side all day. She'll come right underneath me all day. It's amazing. So I just highlighted this. The spirit world. This man has been talking about leaving the body, of course, because this is an ultimate universe, grander in scale than our physical one, but also existing on a multitude of dimensional levels, which makes it, by all accounts, unlimited and infinite. And yet, even this is only a scratch on the surface of yet other sets of realities, which have no beginning and no end, and are beyond the capacity of our imagination. These worlds, too, can be entered into once our mind meets a set of very specific conditions, and we have overcome our acquired conditioning, fears, and self-imposed limitations. They are the beginning of a much greater journey into the higher forms of awakening and vastly expanded states of consciousness, which no longer fit into the parameters of our normal understanding and definition of conventional knowledge. That's what this man writes.
Wow.
And it's so true. Because the spirit people try, as you know, when they come back, I can feel, you can sense that it's so big and they're trying to fit into this.
Yes.
And then people say, you have a nickname? No, because it's so grand. It's like, how could they?
Right.
They ask you about the second grade and tell me who's sitting in front of you. It's just so.
I know. It's so myopic.
It's so myopic.
Yeah.
And that the only energy which keeps it all together is love. Love is the energy that goes through all different spaces and places. He said the world's as big as the other side, the spiritual dimensions, the worlds around us, they're as big as your imagination.
Right. Oh God, James. The biggest message I get, I have to tell you this was a good one. This happened to my niece over the weekend. My niece Liz lost a father figure to her. Mm-hmm. And when somebody passes and you think to yourself, oh, I knew I should have gone to visit him and I didn't visit him. Should have, would have, could have. And you feel that way. And she was so upset that she didn't go to visit him before he died. And that very night he came to her and he hugged her and he said, it's okay. I love you. And I want to say goodbye to you. And he hugged her. And she said, Kellee, I have never felt such relief in my life. That kind of just oh, thank you. And she had such an amazing experience. And that souls will do that for us.
That exactly. I mean, I can't tell you how many times spirits have come through and said, please don't cry for not being there.
Yes.
No, please don't. Please don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Yes.
When you're upset, I see it in your auric field. I feel everything. I see everything. Don't do that to yourself. Please don't do that to yourself. I love you. Don't do that to you. Please don't.
Please don't.
Yeah, it's the earth mind, not the spirit mind. It's our earth mind. I've also, it's so interesting because, even though the children that come through, I keep on saying, I'm not dead. Why do you go to the ground and look at the ground and talk to me? I'm here around you. Why do you do that? Even, when someone's cremated, why do you look at that? I'm not in that little vase there. That's not me. Why would you think I'm that? I become a figment of your imagination. No, I'm all around you. I'm part of you now. Here's a good one. I can be with you more now than I was when I was in the body.
Yes. I love that one. I could be with you now more. Yeah. I've heard that from my mom. My mom actually told me that.
And I also got to tell you that I find a lot of times the spirit people, now I'm going to cry. I was going to cry when I get the validation here, that they realize that they love you, they love us on such a level, and they didn't realize that on Earth. And they come back and they talk about, I love you more than you'll even understand right now, but one day you will.
One day you will.
And another thing which is really right for this astrology you're talking about, and we're all going through right now. We have to remember that the spirit world is always taking care of us. They pull strings. They make things happen, not in time like we understand it, but they will make things happen and what's right for our souls because they love us so much. Mm-hmm. And recently I've done a lot of work with children passing over and organizations with children. And I think I told you this last week, we talked about it, that the children sometimes will go over to this side and really work at creating those spaces for the loved one, the mother or the father on Earth, that they can live out their karmic obligations, and that child spirit has to go over and do that.
Wow. Yeah. So the child spirit is helping them.
It's a very busy world. The world's over
there.
Very, very busy. They don't sit around. They do things. It's a lot of work over there.
Yeah.
And you can go back. There's a lot of people, we find that when they pass over, they might not be ready for it. They don't feel they've done enough or understood enough. And they go right away to courses, universities, we call them universities. They call them universities, but college, higher learning. They will go there and understand. Like my sister Lynn is taking courses right now. She's on the other side, learning about human behavior. I mentioned that before. And a lot of spirits will do that. They feel like they want to understand more, so they study.
I had a really interesting experience with my father when he died. I just followed him over there. I really wanted to see what in the world he was up to. And I found him in a university with like a wood, a lot of old wood, and just this amazing old school that he was there. And he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I want to know what happened. Tell me everything." And he's like, and then I turned around and I saw another friend of mine who died maybe a month before that. And they were in the same class together.
Wow.
And it was really amazing. And then I couldn't stay. They had to kind of, I had to go.
Yeah, and something was really interesting, and I was reading this also in this book, but okay, fine. That's the way this guy writes, I'm telling you. And I love it. I just love it. I'm eating this book up. It's a non-physical tourist attractions. Anyway, it's great.
Non-physical tourist attraction. That's great.
We use our. What happens is you lose your individuality as far as you need to be married. If you're married, coupled with someone on the earth, you won't have it over there if you don't want it. You live your individual
if you don't want
lives.
it. Yeah, if you don't want it. But if you do want it, it's there. Yes.
Yeah, everybody goes and works their own soul self.
Yes.
And that the commitment that we're here together on the earth was because we came back and we had to go through that time period on earth to learn from each other. And maybe there's karmic debts as well. But they talk a lot about individualistic souls in that you get to do your own thing, learn your own way. Now, my father, he's a school. He learned a lot. He did not believe in life after death. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah. And he does now, of course. And my sister had told me that her husband who suicided,
that's right.
which is a whole other thing. She said he's not with her anymore. They helped her over, and then they went their own way. And she understood that. Yeah.
She understood it. Wow.
My mother helped her for a little bit in transition, and our family will help us in transition. They'll help us that initial transition. But I think my sister knew enough about spirit. Obviously, she was mediumistic. So she understood, and they went away. They went on their own. And I mean, she takes me on, I know that she takes me on trips over there. And I sent you today something which I found really great in this book, that in spirit life, when you first go over there, your subconscious is lived. Everything in your subconscious is lived out.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? That's just
you can't remember that here, but it's true. Yes. So everything you've done or thought of or energy you put something toward, you will receive that on the other side. What you've created, if you will. Yeah. What you created, good, bad, or indifferent.
And here's a good question. This is from Jude Dekoff. And Jude, I appreciate this question. She says, what if you are isolated from your entire family presently?
Wow. What are you isolated for?
I mean, it could be, who knows, they're isolated. The family's not speaking. And so when that happens, I mean, on the other side, when that happens, they're still watching you, they're still helping, they're still there, present.
Yeah, they come close and impress us all as best as they can for our highest good. And they will impress us, and the more we can surrender to that, the more we'll become aware of it. I believe that some of that, every experience is very different. Every individualistic experience with families is very different, but including yours, I'm reading your book. Yes, it's very different. But I think that we can't forget that the basics grounding is love. And that maybe in this lifetime it's a karmic experience or obligation or something you've done for the past and it reminds you of something. But really you can heal that. And you can heal that by just love. And they might not understand you. You might not understand them. And that's fine. But kind of love them for their differences. And that's what I was saying. Don't waste your time on this earth, because this earth is a great learning opportunity. And you'll never have it again. As painful sometimes as it is, those are the great lessons we grow from the most. But family, to me, I think it's an understanding. It's just, Kelly, if you talk about this, members of your family are really a reflection of yourself.
Oh, yeah. And so they're absolutely, James. It's something that you're supposed to learn. Absolutely.
So if you can't take your family members, like, for instance, let's say a brother or a sister or a father, what about you is not healed? What about you is not in wholeness? So what are you looking at that's upset you about them? Because that's really just you. Because we're all connected as one. And especially families.
Oh, God, especially families. But, often what they'll come to me and they'll say, they'll ask for forgiveness. I mean, that's another thing that I hear from the other side. They'll ask for forgiveness. And if you can, find it in your heart to forgive some. I mean, we're all going to be betrayed. We're all going to be, cheated on or abused or all kinds of things. So if you can work that through, I know on the other side, they work it through to help with.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
And a lot of them say, oh my gosh, I was retarded in my growth, my process, because
I was challenged in my growth, and I couldn't
forgive on the earth, and I should have done the right thing, forgive. And really, we've talked about this before, I mentioned this before. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. Really, the energy can flow. If we're holding on to something, it stops the flow of energy. It holds us back, and it creates dis-ease. We don't want that. And I remember when I've talked about this before on the show, but it's a great one, where a young 21-year-old kid came through, and to his mother and father in an audience, and he was hit by a drunk driver, and they were devastated, of course. And in the middle of the reading, he said, "Mom, I've forgiven him. Now you have to." And she couldn't understand that. She said, "Mom, you know me and trust me and love me. You have to forgive him." And I said at the end of the meeting, "Are you both ready, Father? Are you both ready to forgive?" I said, "Your son is saying that to you. He's giving you a gift right now." She goes, "I love him. I believe him." I said, "Good. God bless you."
And that's a gift.
That's a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a gift.
We get gifts every day. Every day,
Yes.
spirit people give us gifts. It might come in strange ways, and we wouldn't think they're gifts, but they're gifts.
Right.
I was just giving a whole bunch of them this weekend. A whole bunch of gifts I was giving. So thank you.
Yeah, you were. That's true. And another message that I often get is people will say to me in a session, he wasn't supposed to die that way. And I'll say, no, actually, they passed as intended. And that is a tough concept for a person to understand, but especially if there's a tragedy or there's sudden death or any of that. But it is something that, regardless of how someone passes, it's part of a plan, of a master plan there.
Yeah, there's a divine plan at work.
Yeah, there's a divine plan.
And I don't like to even call it death anymore. I call it exit. Exit.
I like that. And there are exit points.
Yeah, there are exit points.
And some people have more than one. Some people have several. I've seen it all.
Yep. Yeah, you certainly have. I'm reading your book. I'm reading
your book.
My book.
But I did a session. I did 2 sessions in the last 4 weeks with two different people that the actor Treat Williams came through. Both two different people.
I knew Treat very well. Yes.
Isn't that something? So he came through to me with one person and then another person 2 weeks later. And he also was talking about how he had lived quite a life and how he had taken many chances. And each one of those chances, he could have died, but he didn't. But this was his exit. This was his, as they said, final exit.
When I worked with him in the show Grease in New York and Broadway, he had a motorcycle accident then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
See? I got chills. Okay, I think he watches the show.
Yeah.
He was a sweet guy when he came through. Very sweet.
Lovely man. Lovely soul. Yeah, I worked at a couple of times. I worked at a movie of the week he did when I first came to LA, and we'd have lunch together. And nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. The other one I get this often a lot, James. You can sell their stuff or you can give their things away. You don't have to hold on to that unless you want to for whatever reason.
Kelly, that's a great Kelly.
Isn't that a good one?
Great one.
I hear that all the time. Go in my closet. Why are my shoes still there? Give them away. You don't need to keep them. I have many, many people that love their stuff and they keep it, but they don't. It's okay with them.
I've had many multitudes of times where they would say, if you're not using it, please give it to someone else who can help. It can help someone else. So I'd really prefer you to give it to somebody else instead of storing it in the extra bedroom or in the garage in boxes.
Right.
Let someone use it. And that's really, really true.
Yeah, I get that one. Oh, this is from Marilyn McCormick. She says, do our pets pass as intended? I'm dealing with grief from the loss of our cat, Toby. He passed at the vet clinic.
Yeah. Well, I 100%. I believe there's an expiration date for everyone.
Yeah.
Including our loved animals. And funny enough, I was talking to someone about this. Animals have souls, everybody. Animals live on.
Oh, they sure do.
There's a whole kingdom of the animals. Yeah. And there's a whole place where they're together and they come and they go, they meet you when you first pass over. Yeah. They come to get you. So your beloved cats and doggies. And
yes.
Listen, I used to have hamsters and goldfish, and I used to have funerals for them, just saying. And he's a pet. Yeah, I used to have a pet cemetery in my backyard, and he used to pop.
You were way ahead.
I used to have full wakes, viewings. I had people signing a book. They used to sign into a book, And I was 8 years old, 7 years old, and then I'd have a soul ceremony, bringing them to the graveyard and taking the grave, say some prayers.
Wow.
I'm talking hamsters, turtles, cats, dogs, everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Alice Buskey says, is it normal to see snakes after a loved one passes? Well, snakes mean transformation. So yeah, it could be. I mean, if I saw a snake, I'd probably just die. But you saw one recently. James, you saw that rattlesnake. Yes, and what did I tell you? I said, it means great transformation. And you saw that in 5 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago?
Every time I'm with you at these moments when these transformation things happen, it's like down to the minute you say transformation.
I know.
That one
because
with
you're on the world stage.
What was it? What was it? We're flying above us. It was a hawk.
It was a hawk.
The hawk.
Okay, no, it was a hawk.
And it was unbelievable. My roommate was there, and Brian was there at the time, my partner at the time, Brian. And Kelly and Ken and I were sitting out in the back at a table, and Brian went to get us drinks, sodas. And he came back and he put him down. He left. And the three of us at the same time, how this happened, we all looked up and there was a hawk flying above us.
Low flying hawk.
Low. And it opens its mouth.
Opens its mouth. A sparrow flew right out.
And Kelly goes, totem.
Totem, totem. Well,
psychic,
hawks are the male psychic. And I'm like, whoo, somebody's about to be free.
And I divorced within a year.
Within a year. We still talk about that.
But the thing about the signs from the spirit world, what people talk about, they give us signs and all that. Yeah. Yes, they do their work, but do we do our work? Do we keep an open mind? And really what they're doing, they're impressing upon you, if you allow them to, which means opening up the mind, have no clutter in your mind or preconceived notions. But when you get a sign like a snake or a bird or a butterfly, immediately you might get a thought of that person because they're impressing upon your mind who they are. And then you get that, ask them for the message. Let them fill your mind with a message. What message you have for me? Don't try so hard. Be very soft and subtle, and you'll receive it. You see, they work so hard to make these things happen.
Oh, they do. And the other message I get is they will be showing you signs, and people will say, well, how do I know? What do I look for? And I'll listen. I'll say, okay, they're telling me birds. They're telling me feathers. Oh, I just saw a feather today. I mean, they work hard, as you just said. They work
so hard.
Butterflies are huge with this.
I mean, my sister had a book about dimes. Wrote a book. And then, we talked about this. 2 days after she passed, you had a dime in the middle of your
I had a dime in my bathroom sink, sitting there on my. I called James. I said, my housekeeper had just been there. There's no way I have a dime on my bathroom sink. I don't even have change because I don't go anywhere, and I don't have change.
And then I went in my truck and bringing Pearl out. I opened the driver's seat, and I'm there. I look very clean, right? And there's a dime right in the middle of the seat, right in the driver's seat, right in the middle.
Lynn, I don't know how she does that. That's amazing. I mean, how she does that. Okay, Janet Lapointe. The snake thing is crazy. I have terrible fear of snakes, and days after my brother passed, I went for a walk, and a snake came right at me. I ran away and cursed my brother. He worked hard, Janet, on that. He must have had a hell of a sense of humor, because I could tell you if this happened to me or to Shirley, we'd be dead. That would just scare the shit out of us.
The main thing people should know is, of course, there is no death at all. It's a transition. It's not painful at all. Pain is living in this world. Pain is what you deal with in the walking state here with people of all different levels and understanding, and we got to keep our patience, and we got to be true to ourselves. We got to keep our integrity. While others are losing integrity, you have to keep yours. Right. And I talked to someone today about this, about upset about a family member. They were upset about their brother did something or whatever. Yeah. And they on the phone, I said, stop. Don't be upset about that. Don't say things to your brother, bad things, because then you lower yourself to his level. Yeah. You want to go higher up and teach them by example.
Yes.
Don't waste the opportunity of learning. Don't waste the opportunity of love. Every day, I talk about this all the time. Every day, you will have a teacher or a student on your path. Every single day.
Boy, is that true? Is that true?
Be open to it. Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. Jude Dekoff, I have to read this because I do the same thing. She says, I pray for the souls of roadkill every time. I do too, Jude. And it's probably where I live. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere on a farm. But whenever I see roadkill, I always do the same thing. Yeah. I just do. Okay. Tasha Van Matra says, my question is, do we keep the same soul group throughout all of our lifetimes? I don't think so, everyone. Do you think?
I would say, again, we got to remember that we have to separate the human mind from the existential, from the limitless mind, right? So that's a very human question, I say. And I would say you will be that soul until you finish learning from each other.
Yeah.
But there are there are millions of galaxies. This is only one. There are millions of galaxies.
Right.
Worlds within worlds within worlds.
Right. Oh my God. That's and remember, Mavis used to talk about that.
Yes, you say worlds within worlds, love. Yes, Kelly.
Yeah, too.
I do her very well.
You
Yes,
do a
love.
great. You do a great, Mavis.
World within worlds.
You two together were a lot of fun to watch.
I
It's
almost
hard.
pushed off the stage once. It was very funny.
I was there in New Jersey.
No, the double link. We were doing
Yeah,
a double link, and she
I
wouldn't
was
stop,
there.
and it was like, "Hello,
Yes.
it's like a dance. You have to do."
You
back and
said,
forth.
"I'm here too."
Oh, I'm so sorry, James. Like, I get caught up in it. That's all right, Mavis.
Take care. I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye, everyone.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean, left.